Well, welcome everybody. My name is Sky Perrin. I am the team's team lead and head of business development. We had a little bit of change of plans today. Jeff is actually not feeling well, so I'm going to deliver the content for you today. It's actually a topic that's super near and dear to my heart. Our entire team is very passionate about the things that we're going to share with you today, and I did help Jeff write the talk. So apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess. And I'm super excited to be able to go through these things with you and just give you some ideas. My hope is that if you could take away one thing at the end of the day, just one thing that you could actually go implement over this challenge that we're going to present to you. We're going to invite you to do a challenge with us over the next 30 days. If you could take away one thing and actually challenge yourself to do that thing, then I feel like we've done our job here today. So I'm super excited. So I would like it to be interactive. So feel free to chat with me in the chat, ask questions, interact, and we'll have a good time. So just to kick things off, want to give a little story time. Now, originally, obviously, Jeff was going to share his story with you. The thing is, our stories are not that different. He's in a very different place in life than I am. He has a family, but we came to a similar place that led us to this idea that we needed to have some kind of a change, right? And begin a practice to actually build some purpose back into our lives. So you can see here, this is probably a very different Jeff than you've maybe ever met. Maybe some of you remember this Jeff. He was a different person. And if you look on the screen, you can see some of the things that he was feeling at that time in his life. Workaholic, reputation tarnished, feeling like he had anger and he was reactive and emotional, no intention, no direction, really, really scary things, right? And on a dark path, okay? So he came to this practice, this work of starting the day with purpose, needing to make a change. And my story is very similar. Now, my pictures look a little different, okay? Because with my story, the thing is everything from the outside looks really good. And I'll tell you, I made it. So I wanted everyone to believe that my life was perfect, that I had it all together. I was engaged. I had this gorgeous puppy. I had just bought a house, traveling all the time, volunteering, a lot of elements to what most would think are would be a super fulfilled life, right? But it wasn't. And it was all a show. I was deeply, deeply unhappy and deeply unfulfilled. And I was struggling with a lot of the same things that Jeff struggled with. I was throwing myself into work in order to escape my home life. And one of the things that involved was like staying out until 7 or 8 o'clock at night at the office. But Jeff will tell you as well, and we're super transparent about this, that was more like starting happy hour at 5 o'clock and then working until 7 or 8. I'm sure none of us have ever done that here on this call. So it wasn't good. And the other thing was I would throw myself into projects and side businesses and volunteering. It was like, go, go, go. I was burning the candle at both ends. And what I realized, I didn't know this at the time, right? I thought I was doing all these great things and building my resume and contributing to society. But what I was really doing was never slowing down, because if I would have slowed down, I would have had to face how unhappy I was. So if I could fill all of my time with stimulation and activities and projects, right, I would never have to feel that. But eventually, that wasn't enough anymore. I wasn't enough to have all of my time filled. So I started medicating in other ways. Alcohol and drugs, it was not pretty. And I came to a realization about a year ago that if I was going to continue on that same path, that I would lose everything. And so I had to make a change. And around that time, I started coaching, same coach that coaches Jeff. And my very first call with my coach, he asked me how I was doing in my personal life. And I had to be really honest with him. I said, actually, Isaac, love Isaac, he's a great guy. I just broke off my engagement, actually yesterday. It was crazy, the timing of it, right? So I had gone through that change and I told him, on that call, I just broke off my engagement. He's like, okay, so we've got some work to do, right? So we started this process over the last year of helping me re-identify who I was, who I want to be, and start building my life back together from the ground up. And the thing was, I know you're probably thinking like, okay, sad story, that's crazy, all this stuff. What does this have to do with starting your day with purpose? What does this have to do with the morning routine? Okay. So that very same call where I told Isaac, this is where I'm at, this is how horrible everything is. I just poured out my heart to this man, you know, I'm sobbing. It's like the waterworks, everything. And he says, I just need to ask you something. And I'm like, what could you possibly, what more could you want from me on this call? And he said, what's your morning routine? And I was like, the hell you mean my morning routine? Like, what does that have to do with everything I just told you? And basically what he challenged me to do, he's like, no, go with me here. I'm going to put you on a 90-day challenge. It's going to seem really silly right now because it feels like everything is wrong, everything's falling apart, and you could never think that a morning routine could be the answer, but I'm going to tell you that it is, and I just need you to trust me or trust the amount of money that you're paying me, right? Which I was like, okay. So we began this challenge, and part of my challenge was a commitment detox. So I actually quit. I told you I had all those side businesses and side projects and volunteering. I quit all of that for 90 days. And the only thing that I focused on other than my job here with the Milton Burger team was the practices that we're going to talk about in the next slides. Simple daily things that you can do to slow down, stop escaping yourself, and start building some purpose and joy and fulfillment back into your life. Now, am I absolutely perfect now and everything's great? No, but I'm present for the first time ever in my life. I'm no longer running from my life and myself. Like, I'm here. And I have chills right now telling you that because, and I think a lot of people on this call have seen this transformation in me. I'm a different person today delivering this talk to you than I was last year when I was just running and escaping. So I hope that maybe you resonate with something that I said here. I don't think you'd be on this call if you weren't looking to add some of those elements, the joy, the fulfillment, the peace back into your life. So I'm super excited for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having the courage to come to something like this. And so let's get into some of the tactics. I will tell you before we move on from my story that you'll get to see Jeff's before and after here. Let's go back to the before. Wow. And here he is now. I always say it looks like James Bond. It's crazy transformation, not just weight loss wise, but also as a leader and as a father. And it's been so fabulous to watch him have that transformation as well. And again, we were in different places, but we came to that same realization and we've implemented the same practices. So I believe that no matter where you're at with your story, that these things can work for you too. So it matters how you start. So I want to know, so we can kind of get interactive here, if everyone can type into the chat the very first thing they did when they woke up this morning. Let's see where we're at. And be honest, if it was look at your phone, you got to put that. Let's see. Pet my dog. Nice. Okay, we have some dog lovers on the call. I love it. Made coffee. Yep. Snooze my alarm. Thanks for being honest. I do that myself quite a bit. Showered. Okay. So not a ton of scrolling the phone. You guys are a little ahead of the game here. Wake up my kids who are always late. Yep. Sounds about right. Sounds like typical, right? So we tend to wake up and just get thrown into whatever it is, whether they're the demands of our kids or our pets, or sometimes our lives, okay? So why does that matter? There's actually a science behind the hormones that your brain is creating depending on how you start your day. And so there's a stress hormone. I don't know if anyone's familiar with this, but it's called cortisol. Your body's main stress hormone, okay? And this is the part of your brain that controls your mood, your motivation, and fear and anxiety, okay? So some really important things, right, for you to be able to function at the level that you want to function and show up for the people that you want to function, we need to keep cortisol low so that we can maintain a good mood, so that we can feel motivated, and so that we can suppress anxiety and fear, okay? So what tends to happen is we're in high stress environments all day, and then we were in high stress environments, and then we added, I don't know, a pandemic, and economic crisis and a whole host of other things, right? So there's no, kidding that we're stressed out more than we ever have been before. But what we tend to focus on are those macro stressors. We don't look at the micro stressors, right? So first thing you do in the morning is responding to an email or checking social media or checking the news app. The very first thing you're doing is flooding your brain with all of this information that you can't process. You're not in a state to be able to process it, and you're spiking your cortisol. Even when you're dealing with the kids, or maybe you're just getting up and kind of like rolling through the day, you spike that cortisol. Even if you're doing something that feels good, like helping your family, if you're doing anything for anyone else, it can be a stress-inducing activity, okay? And the consequences of having high cortisol environments, even just in the morning time, are all of the things that are on the screen, right? Headaches, heart disease, problems with digestion, trouble sleeping, weight gain. These things that we experience, we often don't realize can be traced back to little habits and little things that we do throughout the day that contribute to having high levels of cortisol in our brain, all right? So the numbers don't lie. We pulled some statistics about stress, and it's not pretty. The numbers are up. People are stressed about their jobs. They have increased levels of stress just in the past 5 years. They're stressed about family responsibilities. They're stressed about their health. I know I am. We're stressed about the health of others as well, right? So higher stressors than normal. We also saw a study that said stress in kids was up, just through the roof. So the kids are even feeling those same stressors. So we have to do something. So what can we do? So what if I told you the key to managing these things, the stress, the fear, and living a more fulfilled life is your morning routine? Spoiler alert. I think I did already tell you that, but it sounds too easy, right? I know there's some skepticals probably here that are like, whatever, I've heard this before. But I'm living proof of that. Jeff is living proof of that. There's others on this call on our team that are living proof of that. So you'll just go with me for the rest of our hour together, and then hopefully our 30-day challenge. I think you might notice the same can be true for you. And the cool thing about this is it doesn't have to take a long time, doesn't have to be complicated. And so you could spend between 15 minutes to an hour a day and transform your life. I think that sounds like something I would want to do if I were you. Okay, so let's talk about the base. So this is just another argument for why the morning routine can work for you, okay? So imagine for a second that you are a glass vase, okay? It's a nice figure. So just take a minute, kind of get into the vase vibes, right? And your energy and effort are the water that are in the vase. So your energy and effort are the kind of your currency that you're exchanging all day long. When you take requests with your team, when you help serve your family, all those things, that's your energy and effort, okay? So what happens is on a typical day, no morning routine, nothing like that. You might have, let's say you're like half full. You have your vase is half full with energy and effort that's ready for the day. And you get started. So we start with feeding the dogs. Okay, and then we start with making breakfast for the kids. And then we start with the kids are running late. And now the dog stole the kid's shoe and it's running around the yard with it. Have you guys ever experienced this? Right? And now we're getting in the car and we're in traffic. Oh, this guy just cut me off. These little things that happen all day long. Oh, this team member is sick and I'm going to have to present the presentation today, right? So we're pouring out energy and effort all day long. And what happens is we are emptying out that vase. So we get to the end of the day, and I know everyone here, your demands and requests of the day end when you get home from work, right? Like that's how that works? No. So we all know that 5 o'clock doesn't mean that we're done, right? If we have kids, if we have pets, if we're in real estate, which some on the call are, then your demands are definitely not over. They're like just getting started, right? And so at this point, there's nothing left in the vase, but you're still trying to tip over, to pour out more effort, to pour out more energy. And what happens a lot of times is it tips and the vase breaks, okay? And usually this is like the moment when you ask the kids to unload the dishwasher and they didn't do it, and you like go ballistic and they think it's about the dishwasher, but it's not about the dishwasher, right? You snap because you have no more energy and effort to give. And that was the thing that broke the vase for the day, but it wasn't about the dishwasher. Okay. So on the flip side, let's do a different version of the story. So we're still that glass vase. We start out the day with half level energy and effort. And then we take time first thing in the morning, give our best of our day to ourselves. Okay. And we do some practices that build some joy and purpose and meaning into our life. Very first thing. And this could take 15 minutes, this could take 5 minutes, or maybe you take 2 hours. It depends what it's going to look like for you. But the idea is you fill yourself up to a point of overflow. And now as you go into your day, you're going with intention, you're going with purpose, you're going with joy. And what happens is every time a request comes, it no longer feels like that person is taking from you. Have you guys felt this? Like when a request comes in and you're like, oh, like I don't, like this is so frustrating because you don't have the energy to give them. It feels like they're stealing and like violating you. It doesn't feel like that when you're in an overflow, right? They're not taking from you, you're spilling out on them. You can actually give, come from a point of service and contribution, right? And it feels good. It actually feels good to do the thing that you love to do, whether it's real estate or your job or serve your kids or your pets or whatever. And I know we've all had days where it's like the dishwasher day that we freak out, and we have days that feel like the day I just described. And so, no, the morning routine doesn't make everything perfect so that every single day is like, oh, I'm just overflowing with joy. Like, no, that's not what we're going with. But every day can be a little bit better. And every day you can intentionally give yourself the tools to at least have the opportunity to come from that place of joy, fulfillment, and purpose, rather than set yourself up to break at the end of the day, so to speak. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's get into logistics. How many know that the morning routine doesn't actually start in the morning? Ooh, shocking. It actually starts the night before. Okay, so you have to get prepared. The biggest thing that's on this list is go to bed on time. And if it was me a year ago, I was not doing that. It is very hard to give yourself any extra time in the morning if you're taking from your sleep. So go to bed on time, and it needs to be like earlier than you probably want to. But the argument is, if at the end of your day, you are spending, let's say, an hour watching Netflix or an hour sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, for 30 days during our challenge, we're going to take that time back. And the reason we're doing Netflix is because we've depleted our energy, right? So all we have energy for is Netflix. So instead of that, we're going to take that time, we're going to stick it at the beginning of the day and give it to ourselves first to fill ourselves up. And then we'll go through the day, and then we're just going to go to bed earlier. Okay, so that's the idea. The next thing you want to do is set up your space. If you get up to do this for the first time and you don't know where you're going to sit, or you don't know what you're going to wear, it's not going to happen as quickly. You're going to have to think about it too much, and there's a chance you won't do it. So you want to make it as easy on yourself as possible. So you get to bed on at a good time. You set up your space. We're going to talk about a lot of different ideas for what you can incorporate into your routine, and you're going to want to get those things ready ahead of time. So if you're going to read, you'll have your book ready. If you're going to journal, you'll have a journal ready. You don't want to get up like, I'm going to journal today, and then realize your journals are in the attic and it's going to make it too hard and you might not do it. So set up the space, okay? Glass of water in the bathroom is a trick for helping yourself wake up. If you're someone who struggles to wake up, very first thing, you jump out of bed and you chug a glass of water. Our bodies are like cased when we're sleeping, and they're so dehydrated that when we chug that water first thing in the morning, it helps wake us up, okay? And then lay out your clothes. So make it easy on yourself, all right? I had to go to bed at literally 8 o'clock last night in order to actually do the routine that I want to do. That's a little extreme, but I've done it so long now that I know that I need to get in bed at that time. Okay, so these are the elements. Now remember, I just want you to pick one thing that speaks to you that you're going to try to do for the next 30 days. And if you want to do 2, you can do 2, but I just want you to pick one. Okay, so one of the elements you can do is silence. Now, this can look like a lot of different things. It can look like meditation. We love the Calm app. A lot of us on the team use that. It can look like just sitting there, kind of present, sipping your coffee. Maybe you're looking out at the nature. anything like that where it's just quiet, okay? We have a tendency, even when we go to do these different like routines and stuff, to fill all the space with music, podcasts, Audible, book, whatever. So this is your time to just be, not necessarily thinking about anything, just being with yourself, okay? Practice through an app or a YouTube video. We have a couple apps that we can recommend. So get some silence in. And then the next one is affirmations. Now, your subconscious is trained to go look for evidence of whatever you tell yourself. This is so true. So if you tell yourself that you're fat, ugly, incapable, can't get it, it's never going to work, I suck, that script that we go through in our minds, right? Then our subconscious is just going to go, okay, sounds good, we're fat and ugly, let's go do things that fat and ugly people do. Or you can tell yourself you're smart and capable and a great leader and that you have something to contribute for this day, right? And now your subconscious is like, okay, we're smart and capable and great leaders. Let's go do things that smart, capable, great leaders do. It works just like that, guys. We're in control of this whole thing right here. So affirmations, while they feel silly, they do work, okay? Because what you focus on expands. And so we write our own affirmations. So you should have a slide on writing affirmations. This is Jeff's. He likes to visualize Zac Efron. I might pick like Megan Fox or something. So you want to have 1 to 5. You write them in future tense. And the key with them is you want to solicit emotion. Like you want to feel it in your body. You feel this inspiration. Like you are actually, or could be, or could achieve this thing. Now, for some people, they like to do the more specific ones where it's like, I love weighing this many pounds and I wake up every day with so much energy to face my day. And my wife thinks I look like Zac Efron and everything is great. So it can be that specific if that works for you. Or sometimes I just need simple ones like there is beauty all around me. I am capable of anything. I can go into this day and contribute as a leader I want to be. I love my job. I love my team. Like little things like that work too. And I can feel it. I've practiced this enough. At first, I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was silly. I was skeptical. And so it didn't work as good. But as I've seen it impact my mindset over time, I know that those little ones, they're very specifically worded though, because if you think it's BS, it's not going to work for you. You've got to pick one that you really do believe and that solicits that emotion for you so that it will be impactful. Okay. But it works. Like I feel myself, and I should have said this before we started. I was not a morning person. I was more along the lines of like a gremlin in the morning. It's probably the right word for it. I hated the morning. I was the roll out of bed, makeup, and be in the office person. Like I did nothing. And now here I am going to bed at 8 and waking up at 6 and doing all the things, right? So it can be done. You can transform. And the affirmations are actually one of the pieces that take my mood from like, I'm so tired to, wow, this is going to be a great day. I'm so thankful and I'm so excited for the impact that I can make. Okay. So they could be a really powerful one for you. All right. Visualization. So you can do this a couple different ways. We like to do a vision board every year. We actually teach a class. It'll probably come up in January of next year where we walk you through guided vision planning and goal setting, and then we create a vision board together. This is one that we actually created on our class last year, or this year, I guess. And we did them digitally. So I actually have mine up here. So what you can do with part of your morning routine is visualize, where you actually review your vision board, you review your goals, and that can be a really powerful way to help yourself manifest those goals. And one of the things about vision boards that we often see is that the things you put on there come true, right? And so Eric, who's on this call, one of our loan officers, he's like the best example of this because he puts things on his vision board every year that happen. And so it is a really powerful thing to do in the morning. But even if you don't do it in the morning, having that vision board somewhere in your space, subconsciously, it does remind you of those goals and it can be really powerful that way. Another thing that you can do, which I really like to do with my visualization time, is look at your calendar for the day and review the meetings that you got coming up. And you kind of visualize the type of person that you want to be during those meetings. So if it's a sales meeting, what kind of energy do you want to bring to that? If it's a mentorship meeting or coaching meeting, what do you want to bring to that? You need different energies for different activities. And typically we just go on autopilot, and next thing you know, we don't show up the way that we maybe want to. And so instead of that, you can take some time to set intentions around the types of things you have on your calendar for the day. And then at the end of the day, see what difference that might make for you. So that's visualization. Okay, reading. Just making sure we don't have anything in the chat. Who here likes to read? Anyone? I used to hate it. I think I got done with college and told myself I'm never picking up a book again. Like, I'm sworn off books. Thanks, I'm done. Bye. Okay. So I used to do Audible, and I would even tell myself, and this was back in my days of, escapism and running away and everything. And I was like, I'm too busy for reading. Why would I read when I could be doing something else and listening to the book? Okay. It's very, very arrogant back then. And the thing is that's fine and well. There's nothing against Audible here. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to consume content. But the idea with the morning routine is low cortisol, right? And so you want to create space for you to be present and doing one thing at a time. And so multitasking, listening to a book, and then doing something else is not the goal for the morning routine. Now, you can do that later in your day. That's fine. Nothing against Audible, like I said. But actually picking up a book, holding the pages, reading it, even if you only get through 2 pages that day, what I found is it forces me to slow down and, like I said, be present in the moment. And so I'm very competitive. And so I think another reason I didn't like reading is I'm pretty slow at it. And so I would only get through a certain number of pages, and I would feel like I should be getting through so much more. Well, over the course of implementing the Starting with Purpose, I have let that go. And so this morning, I think I got 3 pages in, and I don't feel bad about it. It's 3 more pages than I had before. And you pick a book for Miracle Morning or Starting with Purpose where you can get a little nugget. Like, you don't want it to be Grapes of Wrath where you're not going to get anything out of 3 pages. Okay. With some of the books that we have shown here as examples, you can get a nugget from 3 pages. Atomic Habits is a fabulous book for your morning routine. You can get through a chapter really quickly. The chapters are like 5-6 pages, and it's dense. So it's a great one to take one chunk at a time and then try to focus on implementing one chunk at a time. Same thing with Think Like a Monk is amazing. It is very dense though. So it's probably going to take me a year doing it in my morning routine to get through it. But that's not the point. It's not about finishing all these things, right? It's about just gaining a little nugget to take through the day. Anatomy of Peace is also a great one. And if you're interested, a lot of these ideas come from Miracle Morning, which was coined by Hal Elrod. And he has a book that is absolutely fabulous where he talks about his experience implementing a morning routine, and it's phenomenal. Not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. And I would also argue that all of us are leaders in some way or another, whether it's with our family or our dogs or our spouse or our partner or even with ourselves, okay? You're in a community, you have a sphere of influence somewhere in your life, and that makes you a leader, so. All right, journaling. Okay, so you can do this one a couple different ways. This is a great way to implement gratitude. So you can do like a thankfulness journal, or you can even write thank you notes. Jeff writes 3 thank you notes every single morning, and he loves that practice. That's kind of a way that he's customized the routine to really fit in with his life and his business. And it gives him that, feeling of gratitude in the morning, which is great. I love doing that. One thing I like to do is, instead of like a gratitude list where I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, house, family, like whatever, I write more full sentences. And so it's kind of more inspirational that way. You can do it any way that you want. And then the other idea with journaling is the stream of consciousness. And this is a great way if you're someone who runs high anxiety and you wake up like thinking all these things and you're stressed out about a million things. And stream of consciousness may be a practice that will be really beneficial for you, because what you do is start writing all those things that you're thinking. So if you're thinking that you're worried about the kids, or you're worried about your mom, or you're worried about your job, like you just write until you get it all out. and then you're done. Doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. It doesn't have to look pretty. You just want to get it out of your head, okay? Matthew McConaughey in his book Green Lights coined the term write to forget, not to remember. Okay, so we're used to writing everything down to remember it, but this is a practice where you're actually writing to forget so that you have more space in your subconscious for what's going to come throughout the day, and you're not stuffed to the brim with all of these anxieties and worries that you just randomly woke up with for one reason or another. Okay, so that's journaling. Exercise. You knew this one was coming, had to be in here. Exercise, we know the benefits of exercise, right? But exercise in the morning is really, really helpful to get your blood flowing, to get oxygen moving to your brain, and it'll help you get some endorphins going to start out the day. That can be really powerful. Now, I'm tired. I don't know if any of us are tired in the morning. Like I said, I wasn't a morning person, and I don't really do well with a morning workout. Again, high cortisol, I'm trying to keep the cortisol low. So the most that I'm going to do in the morning is like a walk with the dog, or maybe a yoga flow, or some stretching. Maybe if I'm getting really crazy, I will do Pilates, but I'm not doing like a HIIT workout at 7 a.m. Okay, so that's just me trying to keep the cortisol low, but get some movement in. And again, it doesn't have to be long, and you don't want to beat yourself up either. If you only get in 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes more than you would have if you didn't do it at all. So I think that's really powerful. And then it's a benefit or a bonus if you end up doing your workout where you lift weights, or if you go to the gym, you do that later in the day. Now you got both in. What tends to happen is at the end of the day, we're so tired that we skip the gym, right? So if you do it first thing, you know that you're going to get your bare minimum. And then if you end up going to the gym later, it's just a bonus on top of that. So that's what I recommend with the exercise. All right, so final thoughts. It's not about getting up earlier. It is about getting up better. That is the biggest thing with that, is I think everyone feels like, oh, I'm gonna have to wake up at 5 a.m. or they see these like 5 a.m. clubbers, and no one wants to wake up at 5 a.m. Even the people that are in the 5 a.m. club don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. by the way. So I think the best thing to do is pick a time that's a little bit earlier from the time that you already wake up, and challenge yourself with just 15 or maybe 30 minutes. So if you normally wake up at 7:30, try to wake up at 7. If you wake up at 7, do 6:30. And I would say pad 30 minutes because it may take you a little while to get set up. And so you're probably going to end up doing 15 minutes of one of these activities. Or you can do a few minutes of each. And the idea is you just want to start building the habit and build up over time. If you set out and you try to go from waking up at 8 to waking up at 6, that's going to last for like 3 days. And then you're going to be so tired that you'll quit doing it. So pick a little increment of time to challenge yourself with, and then pick one thing. Okay, so if you're going to do silence, download the Calm app and do your 10-minute silence meditation with Calm app tomorrow, or do 15 minutes of reading or 15 minutes of yoga flow, whatever that thing is that kind of inspired you that we talked about today. So I'm curious, let's jump back into the chat. What is the one thing or maybe two things that you feel like stood out to you that you would consider working on over the next 30 days? Let us find out. Or are you guys going to do the whole thing? Uh-oh, no one's typing, so we have to go back through it. No, I'm just kidding. Exercise and reading, love it. Yeah. Oh, reread Miracle Morning. That's a great way to have an immersive experience and inspire yourself even further. Meditating. Yep. Yeah, move the exercise time to the morning and see how that works for you. I love it. Okay, so we've got some good stuff. Are you guys intimidated? I think it's a little intimidating, the silence and the journaling and the affirmations. People go for the easy ones, right? Like reading and exercise. So I think that's amazing. Like I said, pick one thing. But I would, if you're already someone who reads or already someone who exercises every day, I would challenge you to do some of the ones that are a little more uncomfortable, because after 30 days, it's not going to be uncomfortable anymore. And you're going to get so much benefit out of having a practice where you brain dump, or having a practice where you apply gratitude to your morning, or where you sit in silence. So let's go on to the challenge piece. So I've been hinting towards the challenge this entire time. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully you were inspired to implement one of these things. And we want to help hold each other accountable. So we're going to do a 30-day challenge where we will support you with some encouraging emails about once a week. And you might get some fun check-in calls or texts from Jeff as well along the way. But really, most of the accountability is with yourself, right? You get to commit to do this thing for yourself for 30 days. Doesn't have to be perfect, but to set an intention to put yourself first and start your day with purpose for the next 30 days and see where that leads you. And I think this is a fabulous time to do it in October, to really prioritize ourselves before we start prioritizing everyone else with the holidays. So it's a great time to do it. And we'd love to have you join us. I believe that Jaylyn who is our marketing director here, she has sent an email, I believe, already. Yes, so we've already sent the email. If you want to opt in, it has directions for how to opt in. But sometimes our emails go to spam, or maybe you've unsubscribed, and we will find you if you've done that. I'm just kidding. Now, if you made it to this event, then you must not have unsubscribed. So we just want to make sure you get the email. If you don't see it, you can shoot myself, Jeff, or Jaylyn an email or text, and we can make sure that you get to the right place to do the challenge. So who's in? Anybody? Maybe? I'm going to do it. I'm already doing it, but I will also commit to trying to do my very best for 30 days. Oh, yay. Is that Darian? Perfect. I love it. Oh, Deanna. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time. Does anyone have any final thoughts or questions or feedback before we jump off for the day? We're getting some great response to the challenge. I love it. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining, and get out there and start your next days with purpose. See you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks so much, Sky.
Thanks, Sky.
Thank you.